All right, we've started the stream. Um, just getting my setup going. Bring my chat up. It's kind of new for me, so I work in tech, but I haven't played around a lot with OBS Studio, which is what I'm using to stream. I'm gonna give it a moment, let people see if they want to log in. If you do, I'd love to know that you're hearing audio. I'll kind of explain my setup at some point as we go through this, but decided last week actually watching somebody else's stream on our I'm part of a Discord server for people that use Reaper, which is a recording software. And I was like, why am I not streaming? People ask me to do it all the time, and I've done it. I'm not saying I've never done it. I'm just not very consistent with either creating videos or using streaming as a way to engage with people online, and probably need to do that a bit more. So if you are somewhere close to my time zone, maybe you're having some coffee. Actually, this is the very last of my coffee. I actually have tea over here. So tea is certainly acceptable as a drink. We started this morning around 3:30. Both Deb and I woke up at 3:30. Don't ask us why that happens, but I think I started brewing our coffee. We have a Wi-Fi connected coffee maker, which is so indulgent. And we started, I think I started brewing the coffee at 3:27. And I laid in bed for a bit longer and then got up so I could get that first cup of Joe. So so at 7, gosh, we are like 3.5 hours into drinking coffee. We've actually made 2 pots between the two of us. There's still some in there, so we haven't finished it, but we sometimes do. So I go to green tea or black tea, but green tea a lot of times, just because I'm probably pumping as much caffeine into my body as is desirable. I don't know. You get back and forth messages on the effect. I mean, it certainly makes you engaged, right? Anyways, but if you have your coffee, welcome. If it's just a drink of water, which I also have over here, or tea, that's perfectly acceptable as well. We're going to talk songs a little bit, song origins, a little bit about how I started writing. And I only picked the topic just as a kicking off point. Didn't have some grand design. I thought about this morning as I was getting ready. Mornings are always an iffy proposition, right? If you're going to possibly be singing, your voice typically isn't ready. It's one of the reasons I wanted to get up earlier. And then I've done some vocal exercises. Didn't do a full warm-up because I was kind of setting things up in the office and I'm making some little notes. And I might show the office setup. We're in a tight little spot. We don't have a ton of room here, but it's where we do recording and we do my consulting work, all those fun things. So I'm going to put something in chat. All right. So hopefully the audio is working. It seems good. See, there's one of the problems with doing a morning stream. If you sing, you'll have kind of that morning voice. But I have done some warm-ups. We might even talk about that if you're interested on how you can warm up your voice if you don't have lots of time or if you just need to do it on the fly. There are some things that you can do. Semi-occluded vocal exercises that will really warm up your voice quite a bit. But in any case, so yeah, I streamed a few days ago, and just because I was really talking about a new song I'd completed and some things we're hoping to do in the next year, we'd like to do, particularly in 2026. A lot more shows. I have got a gig scheduled in February up in Ojai. Pretty excited about that. And local places asked me several times, emailed me and said, hey, why don't you schedule something? Let's get a show up here. and so I need to do that. But I've really been pushing it back towards next year because I was working on some recordings that I take way too long to complete, and so I wanted to get some of that stuff done, plus designing a little bit of merchandise so we can do a bit more with things to give to listeners who come out to shows and or sell on our website. So we'll be doing all of that. So some backstory. I've shared this story a bit. I have some stuff on my Substack. By the way, if you're not on my Substack, love it if you went over there and subscribed. You can just find it at matthewmoran.substack.com. It serves as my newsletter. I used to use MailChimp, and I decided to move everything to Substack for a couple of reasons. I wanted a place where I wrote about topics that weren't just music, other creative things that I do. I have a children's book we're working on. I've written a couple books in nonfiction books. I write some articles, and then just random thoughts on creativity, life, raising children, whatever it is. It's kind of a potpourri of topics, and so that's what happens over on Substack. So if you're so inclined, get over there, matthewmoran.substack.com, and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed here on YouTube, would love that as well. I realized when I made my last video that I just published, I'm like, I never say the thing that YouTubers say. I'm never like, smash that like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff. So I should say that. I'll try and remember to say that a couple times during this live stream. So if you want to, love it if you subscribed, love it if you left a comment. And so I wrote this new song, and I kind of introduced it on that last stream, really just the first verse. I don't know if we'll do the entire song. I have it right over here. I think I know the lyrics well enough that I could probably pull it off. It's called Forgive the Night. It's a song that I really like it. I like how it came out. Started writing it back in August, and sometimes I can write songs really fast, like literally start to finish, a couple hours of writing time, and we're done. Maybe it's because my songs are simple, or I feel they're simple, I don't know. But other times a song can kind of languish for a while, and it can be a little bit of a chore, and there's a few reasons that lead to that. This song was one of those. I don't want to say it took too long, but I started in August. I think August 21st is what's in my writing tablet. And I think I finished it about a week and a half ago or something like that. So it took me till the end of, I'm sorry, I said October. August 21st is when I started writing it. So August, September, October. So I wrote the first two stanzas the first day on the 21st. I think on the 22nd or 23rd, I wrote the final stanza, final verse, but I didn't have a chorus. And I had a musical idea for the chorus, but I didn't have, I didn't have enough, lyrically, it just wasn't what I needed. So I knew I liked where the music was going, but, and this can happen, this is what can block you if you're writing a song. I really liked the feel and the lyrical content of the first two stanzas, and I was like, man, if I have a chorus, it can't be a letdown from that. It's got to match the quality or exceed the quality. It's got to have the right energy. And I tried several things, and in part it can be due to schedule and just dedicating the time. Big believer in, if you really want to get something done creatively, you don't wait for inspiration. You can actually sit down and just go, okay, I'm going to take the next 2 hours. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to focus on getting ideas on paper. Usually that will foster creative output. Stephen King talks about it, and I'm a big proponent of talking about Stephen King's book on writing, where he says you can't wait for your muse to find you. You should show up at the same time, same place every day, and do all the heavy lifting, do all the work. He's talking about writing novels, but I think the same applies for songwriting. If you were to show up at the same time, same place every day, and dedicate yourself to writing, then the muse knows where to find you. And as he would say, your muse is probably a fickle bitch and she may or may not show up. But she's attracted to the heavy lifting. She's attracted to the work. And so, by the way, your muse can be a fickle bastard too. This is not a sexist commentary on muses. It's just creativity can be encouraged by doing the work, and that's kind of how I feel about it. And so I probably didn't dedicate the time necessary due to competing projects and things like that. So how I got started in the first song, where I probably started writing songs when I was 12 or 13, right when I started playing, 10, 11, 12, whatever it was. I started playing guitar. My father was a banjo player, and started playing guitar, and I had a glut of words. I always have. My mom used to say, you talk too much and you're too loud. And probably hasn't changed a whole lot. I probably still talk too much and I'm still too loud. Deb could testify to that. As I wake up early and am immediately playing guitar and sometimes running in there to show her something that I'm working on. And she's like, oh my gosh, let me finish my first cup of coffee before you start. But so I started writing songs right away. I don't really remember many of them. I have a couple that I kind of remember from high school that aren't great. There are some elements I like about them, so I probably have to rework them. But the first song, and I wrote it in high school, was a song called Misty Blue. And I'm not going to play the whole song, but I knew I kind of liked it, and I still do. As a matter of fact, my daughter's actually recorded it. Should probably pull that recording out at some point. And it was a time in high school, probably my senior year, when I started doing a lot more like these seventh chords, right? Because you kind of feel like there's something sophisticated about them. I always tell people if I use a seventh chord and I have more than 4 chords in a song, then I consider it jazz. Because a lot of stuff I write is super basic. And so I wrote this song, and I go, man, this is kind of a nice tune, and it carries. And so I still play it sometimes when I play out. And so it started with that, what would it be, a G 7th chord, which has a nice sound to it, to an A, right? So that was kind of the motif of the song, was just this. There's a color of the lonely, know you've seen it too. It clouds up your eyes like the sun might do, and the people walking by don't know what you're going through. You wanna let them know that you're feeling misty blue. And so there's no actual chorus in the song, just kind of every verse kind of ends with that misty blue motif. And then I kind of had a piece that goes over that I came up with a little bit later that I always thought, oh, saxophone would sound nice. I've done it with other things, but it's really simple, but it just goes. Kind of like that. So. Ba-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. Right? So that was the first song that I felt like I'd done something that was kind of felt like a song completed that had some legs on it, right? I didn't write that frequently back then. I was started having children very young. And I always joke about now and go, children ruin your life. No, greatest experience of my life was raising my kids, and but you're committed to other priorities for sure, just necessarily. So a few years later, I wrote this song, and it's another song that I was pretty happy with. Let's see. This is a song called Lady Love. I always call it my first hit because we were friends with a family that had 7 kids, and when I'd be over at their house, they're always like, "Oh, play Lady Love, play Lady Love." And so, if you have a family that you know has 7 kids that are sitting down to listen to you, plus their friends, right? You know, that's your first audience. That's of substantial size. Just so, and this is a song once again that I was happy with it, how it came out. Still love it. Still play it out from time to time. I don't play it as much as I should probably, but it was all built around a kind of a gambling motif. So, kind of went like this. I've never been a gambling man. I've never had luck with my poker hand. Cards and chips always left me cold. A pocket of change, an empty billfold. But I don't mind, 'cause when the moon's above, I'll trade lady luck for lady love. Until you play your hands with the queen of hearts, you can't perceive what a jackpot means. So throw in your chips, you'll find more wealth in her lips. It's lady love for me. And so one of those things you do as a songwriter, you want to check yourself and make sure, man, this sounds good. This seems to follow a nice flow. Am I confused? Am I just enamored with my own work, and so it's not really as nice as you think it is? But that was a song that when I wrote it, I was like, that's pretty good. I like where that's going. And where do those songs come from? My songwriting process over the last lots of years, too many years, has evolved quite a bit. And it started where I would just find a chord progression. I didn't really have a theme or anything I was shooting for. I was just playing around, noodling on, and found a riff or a chord progression, and something about that had a feeling to it. So this song had a light feel to it, right? It's got that. But because I had that minor chord, that E minor, and ultimately an A minor in there, it let me that was kind of the intro, it let me start with a have something that had kind of a nostalgic feel to it. Maybe there was a sense of melancholy, but you were moving past that. And then the chorus, I go into this minor chord. And then it goes into a chorus, which just kind of does this rundown. And when you do that kind of major chord rundown, it always sounds kind of like it resolves to something that's happier. So that's where I go. So that's the feel that drove that song. But once again, I had no idea I was going to write a song that had a gambling motif to it. And so that's really how I started writing songs. And it wasn't really several years later, after many other songs had been written, but I was writing songs maybe one a year, maybe one every couple years, just busy once again raising kids. And it was in 2006 that my two oldest kids bought me this guitar, actually. There's a reason I'm not playing my Gibson. We won't go into the tragedy that's going on there. It needs to either be repaired or whatever. There's some stuff we have to do with it. So, yeah, so they bought me this guitar, and I'd written a few songs. Maybe I had 10 songs, I don't know, that I liked, right? And they were, at this point, older teens, coming up. My oldest was coming up on 18, and so they bought me this for Father's Day in 2006. And I started writing a lot more. As a matter of fact, I think 2006, I probably finished out the year after Father's Day writing 7, 8, 9 songs, and then 2007 I probably wrote 25 songs, right? So it just became much more present to me, and I started performing out in 2006, playing some open mics, got booked for a showcase in end of 2006, my first kind of official, let's call it 30-minute gig. Hadn't really done anything to work on vocals, and I'd never considered myself a singer over the years. And if we delve into the psychology that rattles around my brain, I always dismiss, I'm very comfortable as a writer, very comfortable as a performer, and I can sing okay sometimes. That's always how I place it. The upside is I have gotten some training, and that makes a huge difference. So fully recommend that. But it wasn't until I wrote, I think in 2007, I wrote, well, actually, I guess I was at a showcase, and I met a songwriter named Jim Pipkin, and great writer, Arizona songwriter, and he's, as a matter of fact, it was at my first showcase. I had to follow him, and he's such a great writer. Find Tommy Knockers or Fireline. If you get a chance to see him in Arizona, you should see him. I think I don't know when he's played out last. I haven't seen much from him, but I haven't been online a whole lot. I don't think he is either. So he writes these songs of mythical characters, kind of in the desert, one of his motifs, or mythical situations. Once again, listen to Tommy Knocker, you'll kind of get it. It's about gremlins that live in the mines, that drag miners down. Those are the Tommy Knockers. And so that day I left that showcase, and I was driving home, and I was just thinking about Jim writing these mythical story songs, and I wrote a chorus this is one of those songs where I wrote the chorus and didn't go back to it for almost a year. But it was called Lonely Mile Man. It's about this character leading the brokenhearted people kind of through their despair, but never to any kind of resolution. So the chorus is what I started with, and the song starts with the chorus. Empty stretch and blacktops worn down, many travelers' souls leads them to the border, always one more hill to go. Like a modern day Messiah, I lead them through this land, never to the waters. I'm the lonely mile man, lonely mile man. And that song, it has a bridge that I love, and but that maybe was written kind of to a theme, just inspired by that one moment. It was later on that year, or within a year of that I was thinking about. I've been seeing a couple times a year, Sean Mullins would play where we lived in Arizona, Cave Creek, and a place called Cave Creek Coffee Company. It's now closed, and we would go see him. And listening to him and kind of being introduced through him to James McMurtry and listening to Steve Earle, these people all had songs that mentioned Mexico. And I was like, oh man, if I'm going to be a songwriter, I have to have a Mexico song. So I wrote down these phrases, kind of cliched. And this is the first time I wrote to a theme. I said, I'm going to write a Mexico themed song. And I wrote, all the cliched things I could write. Senorita, tequila, cantina, desert, smuggling, whatever it was, right? Just all these things, super cliched. And I wrote this line, I hear they treat heartache with tequila and loneliness by dancing with the pretty senoritas. And I was like, that's going to be in the chorus. I like that line. It's going to work out somewhere. And so that song kind of became the first song I wrote where I changed my writing. I still do where I write, I just play with chord progressions and then I hear how it feels and I just write a song to that. But I also can sit down now and do a lot more of it where I just write to a theme, and sometimes I don't even pick up the guitar. I might just write phrases and lyrical ideas, and that's how the songs will come out. So I feel like it's improved my songwriting and also made me more productive because I'm no longer bound to the idea of waiting for a chord progression to hit me. I'll sometimes just be driving in the car and get an idea and I'll record it on my phone. I'll go, maybe there's a melody to it, or maybe it's just a line or something I found interesting. And but that's how South of Mexico started. And so I wrote that line of the chorus, I hear they treat heartache with tequila and loneliness by dancing with the pretty senoritas. And that really gave me enough to go, I think there's something here, something we can do with it. So hey Mike, how you doing? Oh, that's okay. It's low. Is the audio low? Let's see. Is that any better? Tell me how that's doing. It might be me just talking low too, right? I'm looking at the levels and I'm hitting up in the, somewhere between minus 20 and minus 10 dB. Tell me how that is, or if I should crank it a little bit more. Oh, let me play with that. Hold on one second. How about that? Things a little bit better? I didn't want to clip, but I definitely want to get the levels where I need them to be. I should make note of where I'm putting that. Johnny and Patricia, they're good friends of mine. Call me up, said, boy, it must be time. Gonna take you out, see you on your feet again. They don't know I've got a different plan, and that's the problem with this little town. Everybody knows when you are up or down. So that's kind of how I started South to Mexico, right? Thanks, Mike. I always say when I go to play a gig, oh, gosh darn it, I got to set up. The roadies never showed up. And once again, similar form, my sound guy didn't show up. So I'll blame it on the mythical sound person that didn't show up. Just like the mythical roadies that didn't show up to do my setup, forcing me to do it. And, being the prima donna rock star that I am, I shouldn't have to worry about such things. So it's hard to find good help. And Mike, this is, I didn't do much to either promote that I'm going to be doing this. I'm really looking at finding my feet for these live streams. The goal being to talk about songwriting, to talk about guitar stuff, talk about vocals, things that I'm working on. I mentioned that mornings are always fraught with a little fear because you get that morning voice and you really have to spend a little time to get yourself warmed up a bit. For me, it's semi-occluded vocal exercises. I probably don't do a real traditional warm-up in that sense. Sometimes I do if I'm playing a gig and I have time. But today was getting coffee going, and I made coffee cake this morning. Once again, super early. I was up once at 3:30, I think I mentioned. And so made coffee cake because I'd had it. Turned out it was way too sweet. So I walked around the house doing these vocal exercises, and if you're a vocalist and you don't have a lot of time to get ready or you're busy with other things, one of the simplest things you could do is while you're walking around, even while I was taking my dog out earlier today, I was literally just going and doing sirens, and then I'll take a song and I'll actually sing the song or do the melody of the song doing the same thing, just going let's see, and I'm doing South to Mexico, right? And I'll sing my song but with that lip trill. What that does is it relaxes your vocal cords. It creates kind of back pressure, so that you're not extending pressure going out, but you're kind of letting your vocal cords get warmed up and get loose. So it's kind of something that I try and do pretty frequently. In any case, so that's kind of the origins of where where my songwriting came from and the progression of it. And over the last few years, because I have so many songs written now, so probably in 2006 when I really started writing, I'd written 10 songs prior to that I felt were worth keeping. 2006, got this guitar, started writing quite a bit more. 2007, 20 plus songs written. 2008, another 20 plus songs written. 2009, quite a few, probably close to that. And then tapered off. I'm doing like 6, 7, 8 per year. Although in the last probably 4 or 5 years, I've written fewer. And part of that is I just want to work on the songs I have rather than introduce new ones. But songs do show up from time to time that I'm pretty happy about. So I was listening to, and I wrote about this in my, talked about it in my last video. I was at an audio show. My partner, Deb, she's a photographer, and she does the photography for a audio show called The Show, where they sell very expensive speakers and sound gear. And I walked into this room where they were setting up these speakers, because they have all these listening rooms all through the hotel that you can just hear music, and sometimes they're playing on vinyl. But in this one room, I came in and this song started, and I was just floored with the way this song sounded. And very sparse and almost spoken word. And it's this artist, Bill Callahan. I've kind of become obsessive about him. And I was like, I want to write something that's like a Bill Callahan type song. Now, I'm not claiming my song that I just wrote last week or last couple months, whatever, but finished last week, is a Bill Callahan song. Because it's not, or it is, whatever. It's just, I like the idea of something that was sparse, that was evocative, with maybe some different chord voicings. And so that's how I wrote the song, and my plan is to keep it that way. I've actually started recording it and have some cool things going on with it, but once again, keeping it sparse, some strings that come in there. And once again, not even going to play the whole song, but I'll go to the chorus. And so it's really just, you tell me what you think. Baby, I got nothing here for you. Broken dreams and shards of love, it's true. Cast my lot with the loneliness. They say he don't play well with strangers. That's the part that I play best. Should I take some time and break this down? Or sell that I own and just skip town? Avoid all questions and the introspect. Don't look back at all the bodies and all the shit I wreck. Forgive the night for what it's done to me. Dark dreams and indiscretions, the visions that I see. I'm not a victim, but a willing devotee, descending once again, embracing what I am, assumed and consummated and condemned. So that's kind of the tone or feeling of the song, and I was pretty happy with it. But once again, as I said, it took me a couple months to write it. I came up with kind of a chord progression, and then the first two verses, like right away. Third verse, which I didn't play, about a day after that or 2 days after that. But it took me until... So that started in August, end of August 21st to be precise. And it took me until about November 25th, 26th or something to complete it and write the chorus. So maybe it's November 20th or so, but sometime around there. Not November. What am I thinking? October. Took me till October 20th or so. But either way, that's kind of the process that songs take. And so there's no one way, but my goal is to ultimately field questions when the time comes up about my writing or anything I'm working on playing wise, and ultimately I'll give people a little tour of what I have going on in the office here. We're in a pretty tight space. Surprisingly, this entire time my pup has not generated a single issue, and she's been right here. I'll just show you if you can see her. She's sleeping right behind me there. Yeah, there she is. Usually Deb had said, do you want me to get her out of here? I'm like, no, let's let her stay. She likes being in here with me. When I'm recording, it can be frustrating if I allow her to stay, because then she'll get up and shake, or she'll start to scratch or something. And I have several recordings where you hear the chain go in there, and then I have to kick her out of the room. But usually she's pretty good and just hangs out. So that's all I wanted to do, was talk a little bit about songwriting and kind of get my streams going. I'm going to try and set a standard schedule, both a morning stream every week. Morning stream sounds like something you do when you first wake up. Okay, a morning video stream every week, and then a evening stream every week. Oh, now there's her shaking. That's what we hear in recordings a lot. What's up, dog? Mike, I appreciate you stopping by and giving me the tip on the audio. I think I can see the levels where I'm at, and I just need to bump it where I'm more consistently at the -15 to -10, -8 or so. And if I do that, I think the audio will be good enough coming out. I could probably move the microphone a little closer as well. I just didn't want it in the video. But yeah, so that's what we're working on getting a little more consistent with YouTube and try and create something interesting and let people know about the stuff we're doing and the gigs we have coming up next year. So if you took time to watch this during the stream, after the stream, whatever, I'm going to say those things that YouTubers say. Hit like and subscribe, because I never say it. I'm always kind of knocked by Deb's always like, you didn't ask anybody to subscribe. I'm going, okay. So I'm asking. If you do it, I'd appreciate it. And other than that, I'll see you on the next stream.